Hey, everybody, welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast, the 4th of July Sunday night version. If you hear some explosions in the back, apparently Jeff's neighborhood is very big on the 4th of July. So there's a lot of big bangs that, as we were chatting beforehand, I heard. So it should be pretty adventurous. But I hope everybody has had a good holiday. Look forward to talking some baseball. We are sponsored by WynnBET. That's WYNN Bet. We appreciate them for that. Other than that, Jeff, how are you this Sunday night?
I'm doing well. Distracted a little bit. The 4th of July is big in my neighborhood. We have a parade that goes up and down our streets in the morning. Everybody rents golf carts or Jeeps and dune buggies and all kinds of stuff. It's an unincorporated area of LA, which means they get away with every firework known to man. And you'll be hearing them through the podcast. We all have block parties. If you hate the 4th of July, you would hate my neighborhood.
That sounds pretty fun. I was just actually up at a family member's house up at the Rose Bowl, and it was the same kind of thing. Everybody's like they're piling in there because there's a huge show there in about an hour. So I got out of there before it started to avoid the mass chaos and traffic. But it's I think people are really excited to have this year when last year it got fully skipped.
Yep, you're right about that. And it's a weekend day, so it makes it crazier. I know tomorrow is when it's officially observed, like as a holiday for people. But
what are holidays, Jeff? I don't know what you speak of.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, are there games being played? Then yeah,
there you go.
My birthday, that was a holiday. That was actually a holiday.
No day games tomorrow, right? That's weird.
Yeah, well, it's because it's Monday, though. I mean, it's a travel day.
But it's a holiday. You think they would have had a couple in there, right?
And you know what? You have day games for Memorial Day and Labor Day all the time.
Yeah, right. The first game tomorrow is 3:00 because the Giants are actually kind of doing a day game. It's 3:00 in San Francisco, but I'm surprised we don't have some 10 a.m. games here on the West Coast.
Nobody fails to do to market like MLB. They'd rather drag the game down.
It's almost impossible how bad they do it sometimes. It's like you couldn't sometimes you're like you can't try to do this as badly, but they managed to somehow. But it's still persevering. We got Shohei Ohtani hitting that bomb he hit today was absurd. Like I usually don't do the someone hit a home run tweet, but he hit it so far that I gotta just automatically did it. I just could not believe where the ball landed. It was like Bo Jackson All-Star game level landing. It was crazy.
Yeah, and it's every day it's something. It's awesome. I mean, we've led the show off a couple of times, and it's pretty crazy. It's awesome to watch. I can't wait to see him in the home run derby on Monday. And
I'm curious if he's like a home run derby guy. Like there's some guys that are just home run derby guys. Like Todd Frazier was always that. You didn't expect him. He was awesome in home run derbies, and we don't expect Sherwood Smith and Vlad last, I guess, 2 years ago. But Vlad was awesome in that. But it should be a lot of fun. I'm really curious to see if he can just hit bombs. Because it seems like everything he hits in the air, a line drive is a home run. It's crazy.
It is, and I mean, what a way to expand the game. Now that's something that's marketing the game right there.
100%.
And, internationally, everyone's going to be going nuts for that. Jesse Winker makes the All-Star team, and I asked him, "Do you miss? Are you upset that you're not in the home run derby?" He goes, "No way. I'm going to have a beer and watch Ohtani." And it's like just like everybody else.
It's cool you mentioned Winker because there's a lot of people that are very cynical about the All-Star game and all that kind of thing. And like you saw Winker's reaction when he found out that he got a starting job, and like he was actually emotional. I mean, at least it means a lot to a lot of these guys, especially the younger guys who've never been there. Like I know we kind of joke about it in the fan vote, and there's a lot of cynicism about it, but like guys really care about it. It's a big honor to make the baseball All-Star. I think it's obviously way bigger than the friggin' Pro Bowl, which nobody cares about. But like the NBA All-Star game is pretty big, but I feel like the Major League Baseball game has like the tradition stuff. The guys really, really care when they make it.
Yeah, they do. I'll be honest. I don't get all into the All-Star game, but I also we take a break. That's the one time we get a break all year, I think. So yeah. Although I'm going to be excited because there's 2 Reds starting now. Yeah. So I think that whether they both deserve to, I don't know. I mean, they're both having a great year, but I think it's more than just who's having
Castellanos clearly deserves it, right?
Yeah, although I think it rises to the level of your debate, though. It's like, are you voting for the best players? Are you voting for the best 3 months? And who do you really want to see?
25% player, 75% kind of what they've done this year. And I just think it's fun. I take it more as fun than most people do. Most people get, I was a little bummed that Chris Bassett didn't make it, although I think he'll make it because there's gonna be a lot of pitchers that are gonna back out. But I thought he was the one guy in the A's, having a good year. They're winning a lot. There's 3 Rangers on the team somehow, but I would like to see Bassett make it.
Yeah. Which Rangers made it? I haven't even looked at that stuff.
It's a really good question. I just saw that 3 Rangers made it. I don't fully remember which 3 it was. Though.
Come on. I know, just kidding. You know what? If you go by earned auction values, the top 3 earners in the outfield for the NL are Acuna, Castellanos, and Winker. So
there you go.
They got it right. And then it's a big drop off down to Brian Reynolds as the next National League outfielder.
Wow, that's a good note because he's one of the guys I want to talk about today.
Raises the question on our perceptions there a little bit there. And the funny thing is though, there's a question. Do you want to see Mookie Betts in an All-Star game? I do.
Yeah.
Maybe he doesn't want to go. Maybe he wants the time off.
Joey Gallo, Kyle Gibson, and Adolis Garcia were the 3 Rangers.
I can see it. Adolis Garcia, I really want to see there. That's the one that gets me excited.
Yeah, he should be fun. I want. There's I think there's 3 spots in the home run derby left. If Gallo's going to the game, you got to give him the home run derby if he wants to.
I agree. I was just going to say
he'd be awesome with it. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about Week 15 coming up. We do have one more full week before the All-Star break before we jump into Fab. Big week because there's it's kind of getting the games in before the All-Star break. Next week there's only every team has 3 games only. 14 teams with 7 games. No teams with 5 games. Look at some schedules. I like the Padres schedule. They have 4 against Washington, 3 against Colorado. I was looking for some fringy Padres, like a Erickson Profar might be a guy that if you're going to pick him up this week, it's a week to do it. The Twins have a good schedule. 3 against the White Sox, 4 against Detroit. You got to like that pitching. They miss Giolito, although maybe that's not such a bad thing these days. We're going to talk a little bit later.
Yeah.
But no interleague games in NL Parks, which is nice. Or in NL Parks, they're all in AL Parks. The series there are, so that's nice too. But were there any teams that you were really attacking in terms of this upcoming week? The Rockies are on the road, so we kind of lose that obvious one right away.
Well, you lose the Rockies hitters, but then again, you find pitchers going up against them. So
that's true. That's true.
I prioritize Merrill Kelly, for instance.
Yep.
And Ryan Weathers was another one that I kind of prioritized, especially lefties against the Rockies on the road. Rocky Road, as Nick Pollock always likes to say with his streamer guide. So the problem with Ryan Weathers, obviously, though, how deep into the game is he going to go?
Yeah.
Jace Tingler today. Bryce Snell went. Bryce Snell had
Blake Snell.
Blake Snell. God, what am I? Happy 4th, everybody.
There's someone I did that on last week, and it took me like 10 minutes to come up with his first name. I can't remember who it was. I wish I could think of it, but it's weird.
How blocks happen. Anyhow, Snell had 4 shutout innings, 81 pitches, and a 5-0 lead, and Tingler yanked him.
Yep. He does weird stuff with Musgrove too. Every time I look up, Musgrove pitches 4 innings. Like it's just he's gonna thrash that bullpen at some point, right?
You think so? And maybe it's all about preserving the starters. I don't know, but it's annoying me a little bit there. And Liz was complaining about Snell also on Twitter, and I go, well, at least he's on the team. Thankfully, joined a team that knows how to optimize him instead of those nerdy know-it-all ruining the game Rays.
Right.
Oops. Kevin Cash, what an idiot.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they have no success in Tampa Bay. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Good All-Star break note, though. If you do, just think about it. We're not going to have a podcast next week because you are going to be, you will be out of town, and we kind of take next week off. But there are the week after this one, there are 3 games for everybody. So make sure next week in Fab, you want to backfill. I usually pick up a couple of relievers just because you're probably not going to get 9 guys who are starting or relieving. So it's hard. Every team has 3 games. Those back end starters not going to start. You also have the issue that by the time we do Fab on Sunday, we don't really know who's going Friday, Saturday, Sunday. A lot of times someone may throw in the All-Star game. Maybe they push them back, or maybe they want to go left, right, whatever it may be. So I usually try and just strategy-wise pick up a reliever or 2 if I can, if I have the roster space, to make sure that I've got some active arms in that week.
There's one exception, by the way. Red Sox and Yankees play on Thursday.
Do they have
a game?
I figured there was one. There had to be one game. Oh, it's a makeup, not just a TV game.
I think it's a makeup. Okay. But because why else would they feel like they'd be kind of get screwed otherwise? But
so we'll get a standalone game on Thursday of the Red Sox just mashing Garrett Cole then, huh?
Man,
crazy! It's wild.
It's wild and it's terrible. So my aces on my 2 main event teams are Cole and Giolito. It's been a bad 3 weeks.
I didn't know that when I said that. I apologize. I did not. I was not taking a shot at your teams there. Your teams are better than mine, so there's that. But
I don't think they are anymore. But
I think if they probably are. It's wild. Cole, I don't know what's up. I mean, I don't know. Like, how much are you putting in this sticky stuff? We're going to talk about Giolito later. I actually want to talk about him a little bit. But, like, how worried are you about someone like Garrett Cole right now? I mean, obviously, in the NFBC, you're starting him. But if you're in a trade league, are you thinking about trading him? Or are you thinking about buying him if you're a trade league? Where do you stand with him at the moment?
I want to think he's going to figure it out. In fact, Fred and I on Tuesday posed the question, Gossman or Cole for the rest of the year? And he did a poll on it afterward, Twitter poll on it. I was I was with the majority that said Cole, because I'm Erickson.
How big was the majority?
Like 59-41.
Oh, that's pretty crazy. If you think about that 3 months ago, it would have been 98-2. So
yeah, and I predicted to be 75-25, so I was a little brazen with that. I think he figures it out, but hey, how much is he going to lose ground? But Gausman walked 5 in his last start too. Let's not forget that. And the day we posed that question, he walked 5 albeit against the Dodgers. So take that with the appropriate grain of salt. Good week for the Dodgers on the field.
For all the talk about the Giants, it's been a great story. Suddenly we're on July 4th and the Dodgers caught them.
Yeah. Well, I didn't see did the Giants lose again tonight?
Oh, I don't know. The Dodgers caught them when they won this morning. I haven't seen the Giants
because they played that late game. And
they did, yeah.
We've been entertaining guests, so I didn't catch the late game. So I'll have
they're up 5-1 in the ninth, so they're going to go back up a half game. But point stands for all the talk of the Giants have been great. The record's great. What are the Dodgers doing? Like, we got to July and they've already caught them. So it's just the panic over the Dodgers was absurd. They won 9 games in a row. That team is just absurdly good still, and they have pitching issues right now. They have a lot of depth issues because we never thought that'd be a problem, but with the injuries, with who the heck knows with Trevor Bauer, like they may have to move someone in the rotation this week.
So Shu and I picked up David Price in one league, thinking they might stretch him out.
That's the guy, right? If you're going to do it, I think they threw Uceta today for their bullpen game. They're thinking about throwing him on Friday. But the Dodgers are so good they throw out a bullpen game and they give 1 run in 9 innings. But they have 4 pitchers right now. There's got to be someone in that spot. It's a valuable spot because they're going to score runs. They're going to play well, and whoever it is in that spot, if they can go 5, you sure want it.
Yeah, and Price is only going 2 at a time now. Yeah. So it's a ways to go before he gets there. But you think about it this way: Gonsolin hasn't been great, and
he's going like 3 or 4 innings too. So it's tough. Yeah. Like it's hard to have 2 guys like that every time through because it really hurts the bullpen.
What if they piggyback off each other? That seems like that would be a natural pairing.
Yeah, but then you still need the
second one. Then
you still need a 5th guy though, right?
Yeah, you do. Well, you do actually. And the thing is too, like I think if I recall correctly, they've got some injuries with their prospects also. So that's the other problem. I have to pull up their depth chart, but I know that they usually have like 8 starters and they don't this year.
I think with the problem we started at the start of the year is like, oh my God, they have too many starters. They're going to skip starts and they're going to be up by so much. And obviously that hasn't happened. But like you look at, I think Josiah Gray is like their number 1 prospect, and he's only thrown 1 game so far, so he's a long ways off. But I don't know. It's weird. There's not like a next guy up. It seems like right now.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is Price. That's my guess. Yeah. That's if I'm guessing that's it. Gray is hurt, if I recall correctly, he started today.
I think he's just coming back now. Yeah.
Yeah. And coming off a shoulder impingement. So this is his second outing was today, July 4th.
Yeah.
So probably going to be a while before he's ready.
And he's thrown 40 innings above A ball. Like it's not like a guy that's fully ready right now either. So.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's funny how when we talk in March about, oh my God, they have too many pitchers, that stuff always works itself out, especially with pitching.
Yeah. Well, and I expect the Dodgers to be active on the trade market though too. I think they will, whatever starters are out there, they'll be after.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do. There's a lot of talk about a lot of teams that are kind of up there and teams we didn't expect to be competing that are. So it should be an interesting trade deadline. It'll be interesting to see if it happens a little quicker if we're going all the way up to the trade deadline.
Yeah, that's right.
Are you sure you're not shooting off those fireworks in your living room?
That's right.
Are your daughters like throwing cherry bombs at each other right now?
Nope. And this is going to go on for 2 more hours. Just so you know, and maybe 3.
Do your cats freak out, or do they do okay with it?
They're under our bed right now. Actually, one of them's out, but they're kind of used to it a little bit. But the weird part is like when you get one of those that sprays out, and it sounds like it's like raining on your roof sometimes.
I hope someone's out there with some hoses or something just in case.
Oh, I used to hose down my roof every year at first when I moved into this neighborhood. It's just that much. I had a neighbor, ironically got divorced, but on their last year out the door, he went to Pahrump in Vegas, Nevada, and loaded up on all these fireworks and set it to choreography. He set it all to music. I mean, he was dedicated, and like he went around the neighborhood taking collections. He spent 4 or 5 figures on fireworks easily.
Is that why he got divorced?
He was probably on that path to begin with, but I'm sure it was a contributing factor.
All right, let's jump off that talk, but jump into Fab before you get yourself in trouble. Let's start with some pitchers. It was not a great week for pitchers. I did not think. There were a couple names, though. I want to ask you what you thought. The first is Tyler McGill. I think it's still Tyler, even though he spells his name O-R. Pitched really well for the Mets in his last start. He had 8 strikeouts in 5 innings, 3 earned runs. Some big strikeout rates in the minors. Pitched pretty well in Double-A and Triple-A this year. He made 8 starts across those levels. Kind of a really quick rise with He's obviously had a lot of injuries in the Mets rotation. Only threw 76 innings in 2019. He was pretty good in A and kind of struggled in Double-A. Were you in on McGill at all? Kind of what do you think as we're looking at going forward, kind of in the Mets rotation at the moment?
He was my top bid, albeit with small bids. Like I'd be like 13, 15, $17. I did not get him in either main. I had to settle for others, but he was my top choice. The thing is, he went 4 1/3 and went 5 in his 2 outings, both against the Braves. Pitched okay. Got the strikeouts at least, 12 Ks in 9 innings so far. And carries that over. You look at the 2 levels in the minors this year. 42 in Double-A was really dominating, 42 Ks in 26 innings. But he did it as a 25-year-old too. Yeah. So,
and I think that the 2 home starts this week, I think built his price. He gets Milwaukee, and the second one's at Pittsburgh, so it looks pretty nice on paper. Milwaukee strikes out a lot. I think that I was in on him too, kind of for your same range of bids, but I think that the 2 start week kind of hurt us and our chances to get him there.
Yeah, for sure. I'll say this: the fact that he's our top guy in mid-July speaks volumes. Guy that was not on our radars. I mean, I'm sure there's some of the better players and at the NFBC and some of the scout type guys knew about him more. He wasn't on my radar at all. I hadn't heard of him until he got the call.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm looking at my sheet right now. I write down starters that I'm remotely interested in, and I usually have a column and a half or so. I wrote down 8 names this week that I was even considering bidding on. Like, I can't remember a week where I wrote down fewer names. And one of them is Spencer Turnbull, who's on the IL, and I didn't really want to pick him up anyway. So 7 active arms. Right. I don't think I've ever written down that few number at this point of the season.
I'm the same way. And, we had to cut Spencer Howard from one of our teams in the main. I mean, that was an obvious cut. He throws 3 innings there. It just doesn't. It's hard to work in fantasy. It doesn't work. But you know what? All the guys are looking to pick up. I mean, it's the same damn thing. That's true too. I mean, if you're lucky, you saw Tyler Anderson out there every once in a while. If you're, I sat him in one last week. It was maybe that was in the 12. I saw him too. He might not have even been available in the 15.
I mean, looking at like every week, I look at Justice Sheffield, and I'm like, oh, he starts every week, and he has 2 starts a week, but every week is terrible. Like he's just bad. It's just. Like I want some innings, but I'll throw a reliever before that. It's rough right now. I had Colby Allard was available in a couple leagues. I think we talked about him a little bit a couple weeks ago, but he was really highly owned in the main event, but only 8% in 12-teamers. So you kind of see the difference there. But pitched really well. He has 2 home starts against Detroit and Oakland, 3.5 ERA, K rates up, walk rates down, some pretty good numbers there. Swing strike rates at 10%. He feels like a guy that you can get some solid innings out of. I don't think he's going to be great, but hopefully won't hurt you. So he was second on my list after McGill.
And we talked about him 2 weeks ago. He got shelled subsequently. Yep. And then I think he was fine after that. I mean, we've seen him before.
He feels like he's a guy. He's just a guy, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's the problem. I mean, and even like the call-ups that we see get called up, Alek Manoah finally got, figured out, had a really good start against the Rays this week.
That slider is disgusting when it's going, by the way. Whew.
Yeah. Nasty. That's the prize so far.
Yeah, I think so too.
If Joe Ross was available, okay, great. He struck out 11 a day in a loss, but he seems like he's figuring it out. But that ship has mostly left the harbor. He wasn't available in too many places.
And the 9 earned run starts coming at some point. You just have to hope you miss it.
Yeah, it could be like Tom Cop. You go back in time to get it on here.
It's what Joe Ross does, but an interesting name in 12-teamers, a guy that I actually had at the top of my list above Allard and McGill this week was actually John Gray. I know the Rockies, but two road starts. He's at Arizona, at San Diego. The second one's pretty scary with San Diego, but 2 starts off the IL, 5 innings, 10 strikeouts against the Brewers, 6 innings, 2 hits, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts against Pittsburgh this week. ERA is actually under 4 for the year. I was actually surprised when I look at that. He's a guy that you always kind of think of the higher because his half starts at Coors, and he finds a way to either some years he struggles there, some years he struggles on the road. He can never kind of put it together. But K rate's up a little bit. Walk rate is also up, which you don't like to see. But I don't know. I think that if you're looking for 2 starts in a 12-teamer, I thought that Gray was a reasonable shot this week.
Yeah, all of a sudden the Rockies starting pitchers are all turning in gems too.
Yeah, Marquez suddenly is just dealing every time. It's crazy.
Yeah, and Gray, and the Pirates scored 2 runs in their 3 games at Coors Field. 2.
That's
yeah. But meanwhile, they torched the Cardinals in St. Louis before that, winning 3 out of 4.
2 runs in 3 games in Coors. Wow, I don't know if we've ever seen that.
Almost got no hit. But you know what? Freeland dealt against them. Gray dealt. Marquez dealt. I mean, they're rolling right now a little bit. In that series against the Cardinals, there weren't any high scoring affairs. There's one game where the Cardinals scored 6 runs in the 10th inning, but made it look like that. It was like a 9-3 game. But aside from that, I mean, the Cardinals, you expected we're going to. I have Cardinal bets. I have Tyler O'Neill, who got hurt, of course. I have a significant. I have Goldie in one main and Arenado in the other. I was expecting some results and didn't see a whole lot there. Yachty had that. Yachty had a big homer in one of the games, but
yeah, I don't think O'Neill's homered since like June 10th or something, June 11th, something like that. It's been a weird. It's funny, we talked about it last week. We're like, Tyler's been homered a long time. He still didn't homer again this week, and again, of course, got a little banged up today. But was there anybody else starting pitching wise? I looked at your boy Vladimir Gutierrez with the Reds, and I looked away really fast because I didn't really like what I saw. Low K rate, high walk rate, they were so high and low that I was just like, I'm not going here. He does have 2 starts, but I got away from that one pretty quickly. He's at KC and Milwaukee. I mean, the starts are pretty good, and maybe he's okay, but I just feel like there's too much risk for ratio blow up. You're not getting enough strikeouts to make it worth the risk.
Yeah, and when you're going against Milwaukee too, you're going against another really good starting pitcher in Freddie Peralta too. So
I love Freddie Peralta, by the way. My favorite guy to watch pitch right now.
Is he really? That's awesome.
Yeah, I love it. He feels like, to me, and it's gonna be a weird comp, but he feels like Marcus Stroman, but with more stuff. Like the attitude, the fire, all that, but he can strike guys out, which I like.
Marcus Stroman with K's, words?
Marcus Stroman with stuff /K's, however you want to call it. But yeah, I love the fire. He didn't pitch well today. He walked I think he walked 4 or 5 guys, but he had a big out with the bases loaded. And he's so fired up, so into it. I like his stuff. I like that he's not huge. He's kind of a smaller guy out there and just throwing gas. I love watching him pitch.
Yeah, he Council gives him a quick hook every once in a while. Is the only problem.
Yeah,
but
he kind of gave him a decent one today. He kind of let it. I thought he was going to take him out with 2 on in the 6th, and he actually loaded the base and they let him pitch. It was Tyler Anderson hitting, so I think that had something to do with it. And I looked up, I'm like, he struck that guy out, and I'm like, it was the pitcher. So I wasn't. It was not as impressive, but I don't know. I just love watching him pitch. I love the fire. I love his stuff. He's just a guy that's really blown up to me this year that I enjoy watching.
Yeah, I hear you, and yeah, I wish I had more of him. I'd enjoy him even more. But I'll tell you what, he's one of those guys that I'd love to have a little bit more of. That's for sure. And he's got 7 wins, even with a quick hook.
Yeah, it's been fun. I mean, their rotation with him, Burns, and Woodruff has been really, really good.
Yeah. See, you're using some of the editing tools.
Yes, I have done some editing on the fly there because that was disturbing. Good time.
I didn't read all of it. I just saw something, and we won't even go on. Keep moving on.
Let's move on. Before we get to some relievers, which was kind of the bigger bidding this week. First, a note from our sponsors. So, Jeff, I felt like this week was more of a reliever week than a starting week. We had a number of guys that kind of slid into closer roles, got a couple saves during the week, and got some interesting bidding. I'm going to start in Kansas City, I think. It's been a situation where there's not been one guy. We've kind of seen Josh Stalmont. We've seen Greg Holland. Now, Scott Barlow had 2 saves this week, and Scott Barlow's been pretty darn good this year. He has a 1.99 ERA in 40 innings. Really big strikeout rate at almost 35%. The walk rate's a bit high at around 10%. Swinging strike rate 16%, which is a really good number there. I think he's the best guy in the pen. I just don't know if Kansas City wants a best guy in the pen, if you know what I'm saying, closer-wise.
I know exactly what you're saying, and I think that's exactly true. He was gone in one of – I think he was gone in both of mine this week, so didn't have a chance in the mains to pick him up. Could have picked him up in a 12, but the thing is, do you really want to deal with that? The KC, Cincinnati, Philly, Detroit. I mean, I'm dipping into that pool already. So, I mean, it's just you get a certain amount of fatigue.
There's nobody else there. You have to. But, yeah, he went for 65 and 45 in my 2 main events, just to give you kind of a price range there. So, some mildly aggressive bidding, I would call it. He definitely had some backup bids. But Velocity's up to almost 96, so it looks like the stuff is maybe a little bit better than it was in past years. But I don't know. At some point, if they go to a guy, I think it's him, but I just don't think they really want to. They certainly haven't seemed like they want to yet.
Yeah. And I read an article earlier saying it takes a lot of buy-in to go with that when you have these arms in this bullpen. I think it was a profile on Stallman at the time, but they all are buying into this whole role-less bullpen. And, I've got Holland in a couple of places, and Holland's not good. So I'd like to actually know that and be on my way, move on my merry way and let him go. But and unfortunately, I'm scraping for saves. So you take what you can get sometimes.
Yeah, I am too. It's been a tough stretch of saves these last couple of weeks for me. They seem like they use Holland a lot. I think he threw like 5 innings the last 7 days. They seem like they're running him out there a lot, but it's just
he's the veteran. They're not trying. They don't need to protect him like they do the others. Let me ask you, in reaction to all this, are you going to be more aggressive on the top closers next year in the draft?
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah,
for sure. For sure, getting one like top 8 guy. And then maybe figure it out there. But I wouldn't be against trying to grab a second guy that you really like. Maybe not top 8 guy, but maybe a top 15 guy. I think it's going to be just harder and harder every year to get saves. I think it's going to be harder. I mean, we talked about it many times, but you just don't get that. Like we used to get, closer A got hurt and there would be someone that you could pick up for a bunch of money and he would be the guy. And now you pick him up for a bunch of money and they split it between 3 guys. And even teams that have a set closer, when that guy gets hurt, they don't go to another set closer like they used to. And then you have so many teams that are already in a committee. It limits how many guys there are out there that get saves. And it's a way lower number than it used to be.
Yeah. I'll say this too. I mean, except for Aroldis Chapman, I won't be bidding on, won't be going early on him, barring some miraculous turnaround in the second half.
He was really good until a week ago, though. I mean, it's just
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, whatever it is. Yeah. But I mean, he was like elite until 2 weeks ago, and then he can't get anybody out right now.
Yeah, he's dust right now. I mean, Did you go after Chad Green?
I didn't, but when I started to look deeper to Aroldis and saw what was going on, I figured I should have. I just didn't know if he was fully the next guy up or what's going on. But yeah, that probably would have been a smart bid right now because if he gets a save or two, and maybe they see what's up with Chapman, maybe they put him on the IL if they want to get him right or something. But that price would be sky high if he was clearly the guy.
Well, Green went 3 innings today in the second game, so that's the tricky part. I mean,
the problem is that his value is in that too.
Right. Yeah. But who else are they going to? I guess Zach Britton, when he gets healthier, could be that guy because he was that guy last year.
Yep.
Loaizaga and the thing is, Loaizaga and Green in their current roles are valuable. They're picking up wins like they did today. Loaizaga should have got the one in the first game, and in fact, the broadcast why not just leave him in? He's pitching well. Yeah, I see that happen all the time.
Yeah, I think if something were to happen to Chapman, I think Green would be the first shot guy. But you're right. I mean, they like the multi-inning stuff, but I think they would kind of move it around so he would probably be the main guy at least. But that probably would have been a smart bid right now that I'm thinking about it a little more.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I mean, it could just be though that they like the multi-inning role, so we'll see about that.
And I think as long as he's healthy, the leash is pretty long on Chapman. But it's rough right now, and everybody in New York seems like just pissed off. I mean, there was the Hank Steinbrenner comments earlier this week about it's pretty much the players' fault, and Cashman was on the field saying we just suck right now. Like he actually used the word suck right now.
I know.
Being 500 in New York just doesn't work, especially when you're paying a ton of money for your team.
Cole got booed today, pretty hard, and he was pretty bad. Not great times in Yankee Stadium, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, at least they came back and won that second game, which is big. I think they gotten swept by the Mets. It might have been a really rough parking lot on the way out of that stadium.
Yeah, there might have been heads rolling.
Yeah. So a couple other closers. You mentioned some of the situations we were talking. Philadelphia, Ranger Suarez had 2 saves this week. It was someone that I did bid on. I got in a couple leagues. Has been really good so far. 0.85 ERA in 31 innings, but 156 BABIP. He's been very lucky, but hard hit rate's pretty good. Barrel rate's under 4%. He's not going to have a lot of hard contact. 24% K rate is kind of okay. Walk rate's pretty good at 6.7%. He's a big called strike guy. He has an 18.5% called strike, so his CSW is 29.5% because he's it boosts up the swing strike. It's only about 11%, which is decent but not great for a reliever. I was in on him. The quotes were a little bit weird. They said something to the effect of Jose Alvarado was available on Saturday, but they used Suarez anyway. And someone asked Girardi, "Would you use it for the next one?" He's like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" So I don't know. I don't know what that means. I feel like Girardi wants one one guy, but just doesn't have one in this bullpen more than anything. And that's a tough spot to be in. I had some bids in on Suarez, but I don't think I'm especially fired up about anybody in this bullpen right now. But definitely, I don't want Jose Alvarado. I know that.
Sure is a good thing that they got rid of Gabe Kapler and what ruination he did to that Phillies bullpen. Oh, right. Wait, it wasn't Kapler's fault after all? Really?
Their numbers on run differential in the 7th and 8th innings are insane. It's like it's just an unbelievable number when you look at it.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And the Reds played Philly in one game on Monday, and it was just like the battle of the bullpen stars. It was so bad. But Suarez was only available, I think, in one of my 2 leagues. It was 40 to 38. I didn't go crazy over him. I think I only had like a very minimal bid on that, but I don't know. It's just because I don't trust that he gets the next one. I think there's going to be a little lefty bias against him there. I think that's part of the problem. But I mean, he's pitching well. He doesn't walk too many guys. That's one thing I do like. So one thing. That's the one thing to get me to quit on a reliever really quick is a high walk.
And that's Alvarado. I mean, he's so nasty. He can strike anybody out, but he has no idea where the ball is going right now.
Yeah, it's brutal, and it's funny how he's been pretty bad lately. And like, okay, well, maybe Neris gets it back, and then Neris is like, wait, hold on, don't get too excited. Let me blow one badly here again. Not blow one; it was a blowout already. But let me just get torched again.
I didn't drop him yet, but he certainly pushed me a little closer to that ledge with that outing. But I picked up Suarez in one of my main events for $32, so not a decent amount of money, but not anything that's going to hurt. He actually went less than Barlow and Heath Hembry, who we're talking about a second, went for. So I got him the 3rd highest reliever, and then I got outbid on him the other man. He went for like $60 or $53. So there's some decent bidding. What about Heath Hembry? We're going to your Reds here. Has not pitched great, but a huge strikeout rate, 41.7%. Velocity's up. He's throwing a lot more sliders, too, which is probably why he's getting the strikeouts.
I was just going to say that. Yep.
Yeah, a lot of hard contact, though. 70% barrel rate kind of freaked me out a little bit when I looked closer. I kind of pulled back my Hembry bids as we got closer, but you're the Reds fan. Tell me about this one.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Are you alive?
Yes, I am alive.
Good.
I didn't.
Oh, you're gone again.
And then again, not. Try
and
again.
now you're back. And you're gone. So there's Jeff. I'm gonna talk for a few minutes while he's going there. That was kind of the extent of the closers. There was some Cole Sulser in Baltimore who was mildly interesting, but pitching pretty well. But it definitely was a reliever week. With Suarez, Barlow, Hembry, and Cole Sulser. But Jeff, you're back. Tell me about Heath Hembry.
Oh, I can't hear you.
I can hear you. Joy of modern technology. So I'm going to talk a little bit while Jeff gets fully connected there. But it was an interesting week. I think we're at a point where closers are just really difficult to figure out right now. Like we talked earlier, there's so many committees, but you need saves. You got to bid on these guys, and Jeff. I think you're back now. It's tough finding guys right now, and we're bidding on guys that I don't want to, but you kind of have to.
Yeah. I didn't go too aggressively on Hembry. I think if you pick him up for free or like minimal bid, fine. But this is a feature, not a bug with the Reds. I mean, this is just how they roll. One day it'll be Amir Garrett for 2 saves in a row. The next day, Amir Garrett's in the 7th inning. And not only that, because it's David Bell, Garrett's thrown, faced 3 batters and put 1 on. Oh, let's take him out. So only gets 2/3 of an inning too. Yeah. And he likes it. Oh, I got a chance to double switch. Let's do it.
Do you think this situation this year pushes anybody closer to like saves plus holds leagues becoming more prominent?
Sure. I think it's been. I heard a lot of that push in the preseason, and in fact, Tout Wars, one of the new league we added in Tout Wars is a saves plus holds league. I hate
the holds rule, but at least it solves some of the committee stuff, I suppose. But the hold rule is kind of crappy, but I guess it probably evens out over the course of the year when you get some bad ones and some good ones. But I don't know. It'd be a whole nother way to certainly figure the stuff out. That's for sure.
Yeah. Sure. It will, but like you, I hate the rule. I don't think it's a great stat at all. Yeah. I like the notion of trying to give some of these guys some extra value.
Right.
I don't have the perfect answer to that, but it's just, it's just going to be something that continues to vex us a little bit more.
So let's flip to offense a little bit here before I want to talk to some players I want to talk about at the end. But there's a little bit of offense. I found it hard to find really intriguing offensive guys this week. First guy that got called up, Gavin Sheets with the White Sox. 2019 in Double-A, played 126 games, 16 home runs, hit 267. I think we all noticed him because he hit 2 home runs already this week. He hit second a couple times for the White Sox with Yohan Moncada out. He was hurt with that bruised hand all weekend. Really nice strikeout numbers in the minors. He was always under 20%. So the guy that does make contacts probably gives him a decent batting average floor. So far in Triple-A this year, before he got called up, he had 7 home runs, 176 plate appearances, hitting 292. What were you doing with Sheets this week? Do you think that the playing times? Do you think he sticks? How do you feel about him?
Don't feel strongly about him. He was on my list of guys, and he might get a little bit of extra run with Mercedes sent down. Maybe he plays a little bit of extra DH. That's possible. Son of Larry Sheets. So,
is it really? I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. But not Ben.
Better than son of Ben Sheets. I went to a spring training game once. A's Reds. We sat down and Sheets gave up 10 runs and he did not get an out.
Oof.
I think Chris Singleton. Was that Chris Singleton with the Reds? Hit homer to lead off the game, then homered coming all the way back around the order for the 10th run. It was quite impressive.
Your Cactus League one-day draft, if you went Singleton, you went Homerton.
Yeah, knowing me, I probably had Ben Sheets in DFS that day. It probably didn't work well.
I doubt that.
No,
you're too much of a self-hating A's fan to do that.
That's true too. It was just funny. Like we literally got a beer, sat down, and it was literally 10-0 before Ben Sheets got out. It was a good time.
Oh man, no, he wasn't my priority. My priority was Heimer Candelario. At least in one of my 2 mains, he was available.
It's not a bad little guy to have available. It's just hits in the middle of the order and not gonna be huge, but definitely not gonna hurt you, which is nice.
He hasn't had the category juice so far. 4 homers, 22 RBI going into today's game. Although he had a pretty good game today. He did. He doesn't run. That's the downside. So it's just I'm looking for playing time basically at this point in time.
I mean, I have been a main, and I didn't consider dropping him. So that probably tells you something right there.
Yeah.
What about Jace Peterson in Milwaukee? Colton Wong unfortunately went on the IL again. Every time he's playing really well, but it's like the 3rd time on the IL now. He's playing second base with Wong hurt. 108, he has 3 home runs, 4 stolen bases already, hitting 270. I think he has about 110 plate appearances kind of over the course of the year before he really started playing regularly. I think he's strictly a catch some stolen bases while he plays kind of guy, but those guys have value because stolen bases are really bunched up right now, at least in my leagues. And anybody that can steal 2 or 3 bags in a week is pretty important and valuable to me right now.
No, I'd agree. The Brewers are hot, so you get some maybe a little bit of categories and runs, at least some runs maybe you add to the pile there. Yeah, I think he was picked up in a lot of my 15s last week. I think the playing time was there.
Yeah. That's interesting. He was available in mine. I grabbed him in one for I think $6, and I forget what the other one was. But I just thought, like you said, I'm looking for playing time. I'm looking for maybe that someone can steal a couple bags. And what I like is he's eligible at first, second, and outfield. Like that gives me a lot of flexibility and allows me maybe to keep another pitcher an extra week longer that's hurt, or maybe I have Joe Adell in the league, and I'm kind of trying to figure that out. Do you think they call up Joe Adell? I want to ask you that now. I've held him for a couple of weeks just because he's playing. He's a lot of power in AAA. And I think once he gets called up, he'll be to stick. But it's sad. I'm scared to drop him because I know the second I drop him is the week they'll call him up.
The funny thing is, though, if there was ever a time for them to call him up, it'd have been now. I mean, it would have been, right. Upton's on the IL, Trout's on the IL. I mean, now Taylor Ward got hurt today. They're saying it's not significant, but we'll see. I mean, they're going Lagares, Rengifo. I mean, they had Scott Schebler. I think they sent him down. I can't even figure out who their third outfielder is. I guess Goslin, is now.
It's a little weird, right? Like they must be fully committed to having him be 1,000% ready and come up and not ever go back down. But I tell you what, I mean, they're 500. They're still sort of in the mix for the second half. It just seems like it's crazy to run the outfielders out that they're doing right now.
It's really one of the weirdest teams I've ever seen. Yeah, Goslin played left fielder today. Ward got hurt today, and Jose Rojas, who they called back up, is played some outfield today.
Are they that worried about him coming up and being bad and like getting down or affecting his? I have no idea what it is because he's clearly significantly more upside than all those guys, and I think his floor is probably better than all those guys. Like I just don't. I mean, we saw a bad floor last year, but it seems like the perfect time to give him a shot, and they have, and it just the patience is wild with him.
Yeah, it really is, and maybe patience is the word, the operative word. Maybe all the strikeouts that Adele has, but I mean, they started playing him in center field, thinking, okay, we can, we're not liking what we're getting here. I'll say this: he struck out 73 times in AAA.
Yeah, he has struck out a lot,
and that might be their sign that they don't think he's ready. Even still, I mean, it is 65% contact rate at AAA. Of course, he's hitting bombs, but. Yep. Yeah, I don't know. The Angels are such a weird team. I mean,
they are a weird team.
Dylan Bundy got moved to the bullpen this week, which is just how did they wreck him so much, or how did he get wrecked? Quintana's in the bullpen too. This is just it. They changed over half their bullpen right in the last week of spring training. I've mentioned that a couple of times before, but to me, it's just a glaring sign that they weren't ready for the start of the season. They're talking waiver claims, and actually, Steve Cishek has been their best reliever, I think, and Cishek and Watson are there.
I should be besides Iglesias.
Well, yeah. I mean, setup guys,
right? Yeah.
Ohtani is such an amazing talent. Trout's such an amazing talent. They tried to go big with Rendon. They tried to go big with Pujols, and so far those have backfired on them. Josh Hamilton's another one, and yet they haven't got that big time pitcher. Andrew Heaney is just, Cobb is, and that was kind of a patchwork solution. He's had his good starts, his bad starts. Sandoval, I'm actually kind of encouraged by a little bit.
Yeah, I like that. It's too bad Sandoval pitched really well today, and then the sixth inning put two guys on. Of course, the bullpen came in and just exploded on it, but he pitched well again. He's pitched, that's like 4 or 5 starts in a row. He's been pretty solid.
Yeah. And of course, they're in the wrong division. I mean, our A's and the Astros are pretty strong teams.
Yeah, and of course the Angels bullpen just killed that today. Iglesias ended up getting the win instead, but Sandoval did leave with the lead, which was a little annoying. It's weird. I looked at as we were talking. I was looking at the standings here because we were talking about that. Each Central Division has one team with a positive run differential. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, well, it's almost like it carried over from last year.
80% of the teams in the Central have a negative run differential. That seems almost impossible when they play each other as much as they do. Yeah,
and the Brewers had this big rally in the last 12 games to get there.
Yeah,
because I think they were below 500. I mean, they're below negative run differential for a while too. The Reds are close. I mean,
they're -1. I'm cheating a little bit, but I tell you what, the Cubs are somehow -5. They lost 9 games in a row. That's a bad stretch right now.
Since the no-hitter against the Dodgers,
they haven't won since that game, right? Jeez.
Longest losing streak after no-hitter since 1925. I heard that on the ESPN broadcast today.
Look at you with the stats.
Oh, I didn't do any research. I just heard. Was
that an A-Rod stat, or are you on ESPN too? I hope.
Oh, of course I was on ESPN too. But it might have been Buster.
I happen to have ESPN 1 on the background. You can't believe how much A-Rod liked that Rougned Odor bunt. He was so fired up. Everything that happened the rest of the inning, he came and attributed back to that bunt like 4 different times. It was awesome.
See, first of all, when I know I have the StatCast version, there's no way I'm going to watch the mothership. And too, I was actually outside a lot today, so I missed some of that game. But
I just happened to have it on. I just happened on in the background. I flipped out when the golf ended. I flipped it over and just didn't even think about it. And I was just cracking up at that. But a couple of names I want to ask you on offense. Elvis Andrus, if you need a middle infielder, no power at all, but does have he hit 250. He had a really rough April. Hit 256 in May, 278 in June. Hitting second against lefties a number of times. Has 7 stolen bases. Another guy that, like, if you need a middle and you need to snag some decent batting average, decent speed. I think he can kind of fit with the right team, but with the thought that if it starts to go downhill again, be ready to drop him. But I think he's an interesting ad at the moment. Seems to be coming around a little bit, at least with the speed and the average.
Sure.
Hey, he has one. He has 1 home run.
One. He did get one on Friday, right?
Yeah. You know who else has 1 home run?
Tell me.
Everybody's favorite breakout superstar next hero, Victor Robles.
Not mine. I've done too many podcasts with you, and he did that this week too. By the way,
he did 1 home run. Though I saw it. I saw the 1 next to it. I'm like, that can't be right. And I looked back. I'm like, oh my god, he has 1 home run.
Yep.
I picked him up in a league this week. He got dropped, and I am desperate for steals. So I'm actually, I feel like I'm the devil right now. I have Victor Robles on the team. I don't even know what to do with myself.
Yeah. Next thing you know, you're going to be picking up Rod Anderson.
Yeah, that'll never happen. I think I'm probably blocked from doing that too.
Yeah, I'm sure you're gonna you're gonna have me send a plea to unblock you.
Yeah, I think that ship has sailed, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
were there any outfielders at all you liked this week? We talked about Jace Peterson eligible there. I looked at David Dahl coming off the IL, but then I stopped looking really quickly. He's been really bad. 203 average, 4 home runs, 2 steals, 100. I think he's just in our head from 5 years ago. The stud Rocky coming up, got to have him. But that's been rough. Was there anybody in the outfield? I looked at Jackie Bradley Jr. I looked at Ben Gamel. I looked at Ian Happ, who I dropped last week, and I kind of turned away from that pretty quickly. He had the home run the first game, did nothing again the rest of the week.
Right.
I had trouble finding outfielders again. We talked about that a few times, but this week felt like a really rough outfielder week.
Saw nothing in the 15s that I liked. I did get Peterson in one of the 12s. I got Garrett Cooper in another 12. But it was rough sledding. I mean, it really was. Now, Peterson, I take that back. I got that in yogurt. So that's 15.
Why does that make me laugh every time?
It's great. It's our little jargon, and I think you and I are the only ones that appreciate it, but that's okay.
No, I've had people DM me what the hell yogurt means, and then once I tell them, I laugh. So there are other people that appreciate it.
Shorthand. It's easier to say yogurt than TGFBI. It doesn't roll right off the tongue.
I love it. It's my favorite thing. Let's talk about some news and notes. Kyle Schwarber is just ridiculous. There's not even a word for how hot he was last month. Left Friday with a hamstring strain. Jeff, I actually dropped him in the league. There's talk about 60-day IL. There's talk about severe strain. It certainly sounds like we're looking at 2 months on this, and I don't think you can hold that right now, despite how insanely good he was the last month.
Yeah, when the positive is, at least he won't need surgery.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's rough.
The guy was in an all-time historical month, and he gets hurt. It's just such a letdown.
It just shows enjoy these hot streaks when you got them, because they are so fleeting.
They are. Trey Turner, there's been a lot of guys that didn't play this week. I'm going to fire through these really quickly, but Trey Turner, Jose Ramirez, both missed the weekend. Ramirez has a sore elbow. Trey Turner has a jam finger, hasn't played since Wednesday. The quote on him was weird, though. They said he's expected to be back beginning or middle of next week, which doesn't really help us fantasy-wise. He might play Thursday, he might play Tuesday. That's one that you just really have to check. Did the Nationals play tomorrow? The Nationals, they do play tomorrow, so at least we'll know that. But it's just so hard. If it's 2.5 or 3 games of Trey Turner, you want that. But I just don't know if we're going to know.
Yeah, at least the Nationals are going to play at 7 a.m. this time, so we got that going for us.
I woke up and the Dodgers and Nationals are playing. What the hell is going on?
8 o'clock game. It's the 4th of July every year. They're home and they play stupid early.
I assume to get the other team out of town and all the festivities in DC, just get it over with.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we always carp about Patriots Day in Boston and how it sucks, especially because it's the start of a week. At least here it's at least it wasn't Monday, observed, start of the week here. But yeah, it sucks. I mean, and you're like, oh, now that's locked. And I had Jan Gomes in a daily moves league. Couldn't bench him.
Yeah.
But so it goes. Yeah. The work cries for me on that one.
Zach Gallen was placed on the 10-day IL. This has been just a maddening season if you have Gallen. Just frustrating. He's a right hamstring strain this time. Better than an arm injury, but still going to be out for a bit.
Something kinetic chain.
Yeah, that's true. It's just been something after another. Nelson Cruz is scratched. Yeah, he probably should. You don't think the Diamondbacks are going to compete this year?
I think they're going to come up just short.
Might be in the wrong division a little bit. And
that's it. That's why.
Yeah,
that's it.
Let's see. Nelson Cruz scratched Sunday with a stiff neck. I think that he just kind of happens with him. He's when he's in there, he's mashing. As long as he's back, you want to get him in. Yohan Moncada, we mentioned earlier, took BP on Sunday for his bruised hand. Could return Monday. It's funny. You and I talked, and we were talking about our teams on. I think it was Friday. And you're like, "Oh, I'm losing Moncada for the week." And I think I had some smart ass about how bad his stats were. I'm really surprised by how bad he's been fantasy wise. He has, I think, 5 home runs and 2 steals over the first half. That's not helping you.
He and Glaber can hang out together.
Oh, Glaber's been a strange year too.
Yeah, and I don't know what how to. I think one of the two gets fixed, but I don't know which one.
I mean, as you look at Moncada though, is 2019 just oh my gosh, happy fun ball, just not that much of a power guy? I don't know. That's the hard hit rate's good, the barrel rate's pretty decent. I just I'm expecting so much more. 5 home runs is shocking to me.
Did Glaber get COVID? Because I know Moncada did, and said it was a long-lasting effect.
Yeah, didn't Glaber actually get it a second time?
So maybe there's something to that where they're changed a little bit.
He has 3 home runs.
Long haulers, I think they call them, right? Where you're dealing with stuff well after the fact, dealing with that.
I mean, dude had 38 home runs in 2019. He has 6 since.
Yeah.
In 2020 and 2021 combined. That's 113 games. If I'm doing the math right, 6 home runs. Like that's like Billy Hamilton's thinks that's about right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
It's rough. Some other quick guys. Josh Donaldson left Saturday early with hamstring tightness. At least it wasn't the calf. Didn't play Sunday. Another one you just got to check the lineup there. Kyle Tucker's missed a lot of games. He had the COVID stuff. Now he has a scratch Friday with another injury. Missed the weekend. They hope he'll be back on Tuesday. Michael Brantley in Houston also missed the weekend with a side tightness. They didn't have Tucker or Brantley, and they still swept the Indians, which pissed me off too.
Yeah, I bet it would. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's definitely it's one of those things where now they don't play on Monday either. We don't know what to do about that. And Tucker, it's just every time you think he's just about to get going, he has this. Now, big series though. Our A's are going to Houston.
Yep, it's a big one.
I'm fine with them maybe missing a couple of these games. Especially against Chris Bassett on Tuesday.
Yeah. Wouldn't break my heart. The A's. I don't know if you watched any of the A's Red Sox series. That's series is crazy. Like either team could have swept, and the Red Sox ended up winning 2 or 3. A's had guys thrown out at home to end the 9th inning 2 nights in a row, and it was just an absurd, weird game. Today was 1-0, and the A's just kept leaving guys on base. And Nick Pivetta looked like Cy Young for the first 5 innings, just throwing nasty stuff up there. And Matt Barnes looked lost, and the A's bailed him out. It was a weird series between 2 good teams. It was a strange series, but a fun series. But unfortunately, the wrong team came out with the 2 out of 3.
Both Pivetta and Kaprelian had tons of Ks. Was home plate umpire a little generous?
He was a little bit. Kaprelian had one. His last strikeout. There was a good ball and a half outside, and A's announcer was like, "Oh, just on the corner, great pitch." I'm like, "Yeah, not so much." But Dallas Braden's never seen a pitcher strike that he didn't like. But the strike was pretty good. But I tell you what, Pivetta just looked nasty, and I really like Kaprelian. He gets guys on base, and I know it's a weird thing you can't really quantify, but he really bears down. His pitching with guys on base is really, really impressive. He's been getting out of jams really well. I know some of that will probably regress and normalize a little bit, but I really like what I've seen out of him. He's one of those guys that I flip on, and I definitely watch pitch now. Yeah,
it took a long time for him to come back.
It did. It's a cool story. I hope it stays. Yep. His dad, his debut in Fenway, his dad was all fired up and crying after the game, and it was just it was really cool. It's been a great story, and I'm glad we're finally getting something out of the Sonny Gray trade because the rest of it sure didn't work.
No, it sure didn't. But pitchers they take a long time.
Dustin Fowler, that was it, right?
Yeah. Oh, Dustin Fowler. Well, he got hurt right away. It's so brutal.
I was sure he was going to be really solid that year for the A's. It was he won the job out of spring training. It was rough after that.
Yeah. Hey, one more injury to add. Happened late night. Buster Posey hurt his thumb. He will not start tomorrow against the Cardinals.
It sucks. He's been having a great year. You just hope with thumb thing, you always worry a little bit about that. But always back. Late one also, Andrew McCutchen left Sunday with oblique tightness, which is never anything you like to hear because that never seems like it's a quick day to day.
Right. Not the worst oblique news I heard of the week, though. We haven't talked Jack Flaherty at all. That one.
I know. They kind of snuck that in. I thought it was going to be long term, but it seems like we're looking at August at the earliest, right?
Yeah, well, it's 60-day IL now.
Yeah.
And so August 1st at the earliest, and then you have to wonder, okay, are they going to baby him the first couple of times out? If it is even first week of August or not. This is a disaster.
So answer the fantasy question then. What do you do with him in both 12 and 15 teams?
I held both.
I did too, and I thought about it at 12, and then I quickly didn't think about it much longer. But I don't know if I'm going to hold him until I guess it's 5 or 6 more weeks. It seems like a long time, and then maybe you get 4 starts of more than 5 innings down the stretch. 5. It's going to be. I don't know. You're not going to get a lot out of him, but it might be really good. And you have to hope it is if you hold him.
So my argument to Shu was, look at the names we're bidding on this week.
That's a main event right there. So that's really a good point. I mean, you really want to drop Flaherty for
right.
Tyler McGill or
to a guy we're going to drop 2 weeks from now anyhow.
Yeah, that's true too, and probably will hurt your ratios and anything like that. So
right.
A few players I want to talk about before we jump out. Ozzie Albies is a guy that I never really fully in on drafting it. You kind of always felt like he just compiled and all that, but he's had a huge year. Since June 1st, he has 32 RBIs and 10 stolen bases, leads the majors in stolen bases since June 1st. Him and Acuna both have 10. The only guys with double digits since then. He's at 265, 15 home runs, 13 stolen bases, 50 runs, 59 RBIs. Hard hit rate's only 36%, but a pretty good barrel rate. I think it's just he's in a perfect lineup spot, and he's taking advantage of it.
This is why you don't take victory laps after a month.
That's true.
Because he was off to a pretty rough start. And now you look up and he's caught up everything that, you'd like to see him hitting maybe for a higher average, but
yeah,
he's caught up on everything. He's going to far outpace like a lot of RBI projections. That's for sure.
He's got to be the second most valuable second baseman after Merrifield right now, right?
I think so. So. And
Merrifield's because he's got the 23 stolen bases or whatever it is.
Yeah. I mean, I think didn't Frazier win the second base job in the All-Star game? And
he's hitting like 340.
Well, yeah, and he's having a great year. I'll grant you that. But
he didn't really win the fan vote, did he?
I thought he did. I thought I heard that he did.
How the hell does Adam Frazier win the fan vote? I got it loaded up right now. Oh my God, you're right. He done win the fan vote.
Yeah,
wow.
I thought so.
How did Pittsburgh have that just stuff the ballot box? How does that happen? That's wild.
Revenge of the batting average. I don't know.
I guess. Yeah, Albies was second, and Gavin Lux was third, and I don't get that because Gavin Lux is just terrible.
I think that speaks to the state of second baseman in the National League this year.
It probably does. I'm shocked by how poor Gavin Lux has been. I thought we were going to see, maybe not a full breakout, but I thought we were going to see a lot of good stuff. And I think he's hitting like 230.
Yeah, and we were kind of hoping to get, he's got all this playing time with Seager out. This is going to help him. The thing is, like, did Max Muncy, was he on the ballot as a first baseman or a second baseman? If he was a first,
that's true too.
Same with Chris Taylor. I mean, there's your top two NLers otherwise. Eduardo Escobar, I mean, who saw that one coming? Bad team. Ryan McMahon, Jake Cronenworth. I go McMahon and Cronenworth. I like both those guys. I love Cronenworth. We gave him love last week. And his defense is so good too.
Muncy was the runner-up at first base to Freeman, so he was listed there.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. So that explains some of it there.
Muncy was the phase 1 leader, and then Freeman passed him in phase 2. I have no idea what that means.
Yeah. Albies just passed up Merrifield and our earned auction values.
Oh, wow.
28 to 27. That's because the 15 homers versus 8 for Witt.
Yeah. And he must have 25 more RBIs, right?
14 more RBI. I mean, Merrifield's pretty damn good. 23 stolen bases, too.
I just didn't think he had quite that many RBIs leading off for Kansas City, but apparently he has 45 RBIs.
Yep.
Yeah, I would have lost that bet. I would have gone under that number for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
even though I love him as a player.
Yep. He was another guy that was accused of he's a little bit of a compiler, a little bit of the batting average can't last forever. He's showing signs of slipping and not slipping.
He's just on pace for 45 stolen bases. So we talked about Cole a little bit earlier. Talk to me about Giolito, the other guy you have in the main event. Struggled today against Detroit. 5 innings, 10 hits, 6 earned runs, 5 strikeouts. ERA is now at 4.2. Like we talk about Cole. Cole's ERA is still under 3. He's just been really bad lately. But Giolito's kind of struggled up and down most of the year. K rate's down a little bit, but still pretty good at 29.5%. Walk rate's down a little bit to about 8%. Barrel rate's up to a career high 9.5%. Home runs are hurting him. 1.6 home runs per 9. Ground ball rate's at a career low. He's given up a lot more fly balls. How worried are you about Giolito? Would you buy him? And if you're in a trade league and you could get him for a little bit of a discount right now?
Can I not talk about Giolito? I'm really kind of frustrated with this right now.
I understand. At
one point, I was like, okay, I can make some excuses here for him, like the JD Martinez style excuses. Right? No video. Tony La Russa's his manager. Had the Patriots Day game. Doesn't like the daytime. Yeah. Screw that. Just
at some point, you got to go pitch, right? It's just I don't know. It's been rough. I mean, I just don't. I think that I probably would bet on him having a pretty good second half, but I'm not super confident with that.
I'm not either. And I right now I'm just kind of like, I can't. In NFBC styles, it's not actionable. You just have to write it out. You're gonna
start him every week, and whatever happens, if he sucks, it's gonna hurt you. But you're not.
It's really sucked. The last 3 weeks, every day they're pitching. Every time they're pitching on the same day.
And you get excited, right? Like it's gonna be a 20 strikeout, nice ERA day, and they both blow up. It's maddening. And today with Cole, like they had a double header, they needed it, and they were throwing a bullpen game the second game. Like they needed him, and he pitched 3 1/3. Like it was shocking.
Yeah, and he got lucky a little bit because of that Nimmo review that didn't get overturned, even though they got the A's treatment, and the Mets got the A's treatment on the replay there. It's like, why even have replay? I mean, that was it's frustrating. I know I owe a better answer on Giolito. I don't have it right now. I don't know what the deal is.
I don't know if there is a better answer, man. I just some stuff looks good, but you watch him and it just doesn't look totally right. It's hard to figure. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if he kind of just stays there. I wouldn't be shocked if he just deals the rest of the way and figures something out either. I mean, he's a guy that can get really, really hot, as we've seen. And if I had to bet on it, if you had to bet on his second half ERA, just second half from here on out, what's your number?
3.9.
All right, I go under that.
I hope you're right. I'm being a pessimist right now.
Yeah. I go like 3.55, somewhere in there. In
the Josh Donaldson no sticky stuff game, he had 1 strikeout in 6 innings. 1.
I mean, that seems impossible. Like, that's just not who he is. Just, I mean, we're seeing the stuff for a lot of these guys. I mean, the sticky stuff obviously is making a difference. It's just a matter of quantifying it is very difficult.
Yeah. Dave chimes in. Cole, Giolito, and Nola are unusable in the Diamond Challenge, and who knows about Bauer, but it's frustrating. And I think Aaron Nola's on your list of people to talk about too, right?
Yeah, I was. I don't know if we're going to get there with the time constraints, but now that we're talking about him, he's a weird guy because you look at strikeout rate's still really good. The walk rate's way down because last 2 years we're like, oh, he's just walking a few too many guys, and we're talking about how the baseball was different. And he was one of those guys. Him and the guy in the Yankees. I can't think of his name. Tanaka.
Yeah.
Both had like problems with grip and all that, and he's not walking guys. The home runs are an issue, but they always kind of are. The 4.5 ERA is just shocking. You look at it, like his FIP is 3.47. He's a guy to me that I think is still going to be fine. There's been a couple of blowups. I feel better about Noel than I do about the other two guys.
I do too. The K's were there against the Marlins. He was getting BABIP to death.
Yeah,
and
he had like 9 strikeouts in a row, like 2 starts ago too.
Right. I mean, the thing about the Phillies starting pitchers is if you leave any inherited runners, they're coming home.
You joke, but like it's true. Like every single one scores.
No, I'm not joking. It's true.
It's insane.
It's definitely true.
One more offensive guy I want to ask you about. Brian Reynolds in Pittsburgh was a guy that I was like, oh, you get some decent batting average, no pop, dime a dozen. Yeah. Brian Reynolds has 15 home runs, Jeff. I mean, I know that it's there because I watch a lot of games and we do all this, but like every time I look at that, 46 runs, 46 RBIs, he's on pace for a 90-90 season and a bad offense. He has 3 stolen bases, so he's hitting 306, which is huge in this batting average era. The K rate's way down, walk rate's up. He's walking at 11.5%. I guess some of that's probably has nobody hitting behind him, but he's a pretty damn good stat line for a bad offense. He's been, if you got him in whatever it was, the 22nd round, he's one of those guys that's winning leagues right now.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm not winning any leagues right now, or maybe one, but I don't have him anywhere. And the thing is, I was like, okay, well, he's fine in his rookie year, and then came crashing back down to earth. I'm a little too last year weighted, I think, on some of my teams. And I missed out on Reynolds. I mean, you look at his minor league numbers. This is what he's hitting for more power than he did in the minors, but the average was always there.
Yeah. He's never hit under 300 before last year. He hit under 200. So he still's never hit between 200 and 300 at any level.
It's wild.
But I mean, 310. I mean, the 15 homers. I thought he was a 15 home run guy for a season. I did not think he could be potentially a 25 to 30 home run guy at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't either. And it's shame that there's not a few more polished players around him. I mean, they've got, they start off with Frazier, Reynolds is good, Brian Hayes is good, and ... Stallings is a league average catcher, I guess.
Yeah, and Colin Moran was pretty good. Now he's hurt again, so that's gone. And Gregory Polanco, I think we can probably admit that that's probably not a thing anymore. It's just they've tried him so many times, he's just not there.
Yep, agreed.
All right, last guy I'm going to ask you about, then I'm going to let you enjoy the fireworks because they're really going crazy outside your window right now. Alex Reyes in St. Louis is a wild story. He has 5 wins and 20 saves, ERA under 1 in 40 innings. K rate's 31.5%. Jeff, I'm sure you've looked at it. His walk rate is 19%. I just can't believe his BABIP's 198. Hard hit rate's pretty good. The barrel rate's good, but at some point, this has to come back to haunt him. Right? You can't walk 90% of the guys and be as effective, right? Hopefully.
He's Carlos Marmol reincarnated right now.
Man, I haven't heard that.
Can't make hard contact. 18 hits. I mean, there's some baked in BABIP luck, but it's not even like the Cardinals have this great defense behind them either. That's the thing that's really amazing to me.
I like at some point he's going to walk 3 guys and go up a grand slam and back-to-back starts. I mean, it just has to happen. It just I mean, we talk about Brian Reynolds winning leagues. Like if you took Alex Reyes or Mark Melanson in those late leagues, those are the two guys that have been utterly massive. We talk about struggling with saves. You get those two guys, you're suddenly one of the teams that's not struggling in saves. You don't have to spend any money in fab. Like it's been an absolute godsend. You got these two guys, but I just don't know how you can walk 7 guys per 9 and be successful the rest of the way. But he's certainly done it for 3 months, and he's been huge.
Check this out. He's got a 31.3% K percentage. Amazing, right?
Yeah.
Swinging strike rate is 12.9. Nothing special.
I would have gone like 15, 16 or so.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. Don't get me wrong. It's really good, but it's not like, oh my gosh. You think like top relievers sometimes they're at 17, 18 because, they go max effort, 1 inning, et cetera. No, it's 12.9. It's 13. Okay, that's good. That's really good. But
it's one of those things we see with the relievers. Like they pitch so little that they just kind of can skate through a half season. And he certainly has. And I mean, the stuff, like I said, you said the stuff's good. Like there's good stuff, but man, I'd be shocked if he doesn't have a couple of really rough outings here at some point.
Yeah. At some point he's going to give up a big hit with these guys that he's walked on base.
Exactly. So. Before we get out of here and let you go enjoy the rest of the 4th, anybody else you wanted to talk about?
No, I think I'm good. Looking forward to a full week of baseball, and then looking forward to a week off.
Me too. So we will not be with you next Sunday. Jeff will be traveling, and we'll be off next week for the All-Star break. We'll be back at you the Sunday after that. I think all the RotoWire podcasts are off that week, right?
Yeah, I might squeeze in a Thursday one, depending on how I'm working on getting one particular guest, getting their schedule lined up.
Fancy.
But we'll see. And I might have to push it to the following week, in which case I'll roll with the Thursday one. So we'll see.
Beautiful. Cool. Well, thanks everyone for listening to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast, the special July 4th version, Sunday night, Monday morning for you, those of you who listen on the East Coast. We want to thank WinBet for their sponsorship. That's WYNN Bet. Hope everybody has a great week. If you want to follow Jeff on Twitter, he's at Jeff_Erickson. I am at Scott Jenstad. We are often on there talking baseball, basketball, football, whatever it may be. Jeff, Scott Fishbowl starts tomorrow, right? I better start to study some football really quick here, I suppose.
Yeah, going to burn the midnight oil, I'm sure, with the 17 other things you're burning the midnight oil for.
I got the 6th pick. I'm sure LaDainian Tomlinson will be there. Just take him. We'll be good.
I'm picking 6 as well. We'll have to trade.
Who are you taking? Tell me.
I don't know.
I
have no earthly idea. I'm probably going to take
two quarterbacks and like 1.5 PPR tight end, right?
Yeah, and there's like negative points for the bad quarterbacks, so you really want to get someone
bad.
good.
I had Daniel Jones last year. He had some bad games.
I had good quarterbacks until the playoffs, and then Justin Herbert and Russell Wilson had their worst games at the same week. And that was
I finished one team short of making the absolute final the last week. I was second place in my division in the finals there, and I would have had Kamara for his 180-point game the final week too. It would have been close to winning.
Yeah, I had a kind of coulda, shoulda moment too. That the week I got knocked out one week, the next week my team went off, just went crazy.
I ended up I took Justin Herbert really late in the draft, and I didn't drop him the first week or two, and that was massive.
Yeah. So did I. I made Russell Wilson, Justin Herbert, and then I think I picked up somebody that was good, and I forget who it was, and it worked out.
It's a fun format. I'm not into football yet, but I will. It'll be a good entry into that as I start to think about that, but. Anyway, thanks everybody for listening. We really do appreciate it. We're back at you in 2 Sundays. Hope everybody has a good All-Star break and all that, and a good fantasy week. Hope your teams are doing well. Other than that, we'll be back in 2 weeks. Take care.